Welcome to Senior Society, where we peel back the curtain on aging, not with cliches, but with science. As we journey into our 80s and beyond, our bodies don't just slow down, they undergo a series of profound, predictable shifts. These aren't random failures. They are distinct biological adaptations that change how we experience the world, from our sense of taste and smell to how our skin heals, how we maintain muscle, how our brain works, and even how we sleep. Think of it less as a gradual decline and more as a series of specific, accelerated changes. Research from leading journals like Nature Aging shows that while some of these transformations begin earlier, they hit a new gear after age 80. Up to half, and sometimes more, of individuals in this age group are affected, often without any clear warning from a routine checkup. Today, we're diving deep into 5 of these key shifts. We'll explore the dramatic decline in taste and smell, the surprising way our skin loses its ability to heal, the process where our muscles can begin to consume themselves, the brain's clever but sometimes confusing rewiring, and the inversion of our internal sleep clock. The best part, understanding these changes is the first step to adapting. Science shows that awareness and simple lifestyle adjustments can make a huge difference. Let us start with one of the earliest and most overlooked changes, the massive decline in our senses of taste and smell. This is known as presbycusia and presbyopia. By the time we reach 80, the average person has lost nearly 70% of their taste buds. That's a staggering number, backed by research from the Monell Chemical Senses Center. And it gets more intense for smell. Reviews in the postgraduate medical journal show that over 75% of people over 80 have a major impairment in their sense of smell. This isn't just about food tasting bland. Our taste buds and olfactory receptors are our first line of defense. They're protective sensors designed to detect spoiled food, toxins, or even environmental dangers like a gas leak. So what's causing this decline? A big part of it is reduced cell regeneration. Our taste buds are supposed to renew themselves every 10 days, but this process slows dramatically with age. At the same time, our salivary glands can atrophy, meaning less saliva to carry flavor molecules to our remaining taste buds. And since smell accounts for a whopping 80% of what we perceive as flavor, its decline is even more impactful. We lose neurons in the olfactory bulb, and the mucus that traps scent molecules thins out. The dangers here are very real. When food tastes like nothing, the natural tendency is to add more salt. Harvard Health data shows this can increase the risk of hypertension by 40% in those with severe taste loss. Undetected food spoilage raises the risk of foodborne illness. This often leads to a drop in appetite and malnutrition, which affects up to 30% of seniors over 80 living independently. This, in turn, weakens the immune system and makes people frailer. But there are ways to fight back. We can adapt by using bold herbs and spices, focusing on food textures, and eating zinc-rich foods, which can help heighten our remaining sensations without piling on the sodium. Now, let's talk about our skin. Closely linked to our internal health is our skin's ability to heal. After 80, what was once a resilient barrier becomes fragile tissue. Our skin thins by about 20%, and collagen levels, which gives skin its structure, drop by 75% compared to our youth. This is according to the Journal of Dermatological Science. Even more fascinating, our fibroblasts, the cells that direct the repair process, start to lose their molecular memory. As a study in Nature Aging describes it, they forget how to orchestrate a quick, efficient healing response. This means a wound that might have healed in a few days, in our youth can now linger for weeks. This isn't just a cosmetic issue. With a weaker immune response and poorer circulation from stiffened blood vessels, the risk of that wound getting infected triples. The prevalence of chronic wounds, like pressure ulcers, rises to about 10 to 15% in those over 80, often triggered by just minor trauma. For 30% of these cases, it leads to hospitalization. You might notice more bruising from fragile capillaries or common skin tears that heal very poorly. This delayed repair process significantly increases the odds of sepsis, and tragically, mortality from infected ulcers can reach 20% in elders. The mechanism behind this involves reduced stem cell activity and a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation that slows down every phase of healing. But here again, we have power. Practical steps, like regularly moisturizing to maintain the skin's barrier, eating a protein-rich diet to provide collagen precursors, and practicing prompt, careful wound care can make a world of difference. Geriatric studies show that even these small adjustments can reduce complication rates by 50%. Next, we move to one of the most insidious changes, sarcopenia. This is a condition where the body starts to break down its own muscle for energy. It's like our muscles begin eating themselves. It is a survival shift that affects anywhere from 11 to 50% of people over 80. After this age, muscle mass can drop by 1 to 3% every single year, and strength declines even faster. This is due to the atrophy of muscle fibers and the loss of the nerve units that control them. So what's driving this? A big factor is plummeting hormone levels, like testosterone and growth factors. Another is something called anabolic resistance, where the body becomes less efficient at using the protein we eat to build new muscle, even with adequate nutrition. When energy reserves are low, the body enters a catabolic state, breaking down muscle to get amino acids to fuel vital organs. This process accelerates frailty, increases the risk of falls fivefold, and can double mortality risk within a few years. Our muscles aren't just for movement, they're also a critical reservoir for immune resources. But here's the incredible news. This is not a one-way street. Resistance exercise, even with light resistance bands, can signal the body to preserve muscle over breaking it down. Clinical trials have shown it can reverse 10 to 20% of muscle loss in just a few months. Now, let's turn to the brain. The changes here are not about inevitable decline, but about remarkable rewiring. It's about taking neural detours. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself, continues well into our 80s and 90s. Research from Johns Hopkins shows that the brain often increases connections between its two hemispheres to compensate for age-related wear and tear. However, this rewiring can lead to temporary fluctuations. That pause when you're searching for a word, or that moment you walk into a room and forget why you read there. These experiences become more common in about 1/3 of people over 80. This misdirected activity isn't a sign of failure. It stems from the thinning of myelin, the insulation around our neural pathways, and synaptic pruning. Our brain is creating scenic routes instead of highways. This is an adaptive process. It can even enhance wisdom and creativity. It's fundamentally different from mild cognitive impairment, which involves a progressive decline. The key to navigating these detours is stimulation. Learning new things, doing puzzles, and staying socially engaged helps strengthen these new pathways and reduces the impact of those momentary fluctuations. Finally, let's talk about sleep. For many over 80, the body's master clock seems to invert. This is known as advanced sleep phase syndrome, and it affects about 60% of this age group. The problem lies in the suprachiasmatic nucleus, our internal pacemaker, which weakens over time. The light signals that help sync our clock also fade because our eye lenses naturally yellow with age. This desynchronizes our cycles of melatonin, the sleep hormone, and cortisol, the stress hormone. The result: you might feel sleepy early in the evening, wake up wide awake at 3 a.m., and need naps during the day. This pattern fragments our deep sleep, which is critical. During deep sleep, the brain's lymphatic system clears out toxins like amyloid plaques. Disrupted sleep is linked to a 3 times higher risk of dementia. But we can help realign this clock. Getting bright light exposure, especially in the morning, and sticking to a consistent daily routine can be incredibly effective at resyncing our internal rhythms. So, these 5 major shifts: the fading of taste and smell, the skin's forgetfulness in healing, the muscle's self-consumption, the brain's clever detours, and the inversion of our sleep clock are not signs of defeat. They are reflections of our body's incredible ability to adapt. And as research continues to affirm, with awareness and proactive choices, we can manage these changes, navigate our later years with strength, and continue to live full, vibrant lives. Have you ever wondered what really happens to our bodies when we reach our 80s, 90s, and even beyond? It's not just about getting a few more wrinkles or moving a bit slower. The changes are deep, complex, and surprisingly interconnected. While some shifts start as early as our 60s, a new chapter of aging truly begins after 80, a period of profound biological transformation. This isn't just a gradual decline. It is a series of coordinated adaptations affecting everything from how we taste our food to how we dream at night. And understanding these changes isn't about fearing old age. It's about unlocking the secrets to living a healthier, more vibrant life for longer. So, let's explore the 5 major shifts that redefine the human body after 80 first. Let's talk about something we often take for granted: taste and smell. This is one of the earliest and most noticeable changes. By the time someone is in their 80s, there's a good chance their sense of flavor is significantly muted. In fact, studies show that over 60% of people between 80 and 97 years old experience major impairment. Why does this happen? Well, in our youth, we have about 10,000 taste buds, each regenerating every 10 days or so. As we age, this renewal process slows down dramatically. The stem cells responsible just get tired out. At the same time, our salivary glands produce less saliva, which is crucial for carrying flavor molecules to our taste buds. It's like trying to taste food in a dry mouth, but the bigger piece of the puzzle is smell. Our sense of smell is responsible for about 80% of what we perceive as flavor. After 80, the neurons in our olfactory bulb, the part of the brain that processes scents, begin to die off, and the mucus in our nose, which traps odor molecules, thins out. This combination means that food starts to taste bland and uninteresting. This isn't just a matter of lost enjoyment. It can be dangerous. Without a sharp sense of smell, it's harder to detect spoiled food, increasing the risk of food poisoning. People also tend to compensate by adding more salt to their food, which can lead to high blood pressure. Most concerning, this loss of appetite can lead to malnutrition in a significant portion of older adults, weakening their immune system and overall health. The second major transformation happens to our largest organ, the skin. After 80, the skin becomes incredibly fragile and takes much longer to heal. A cut that might have closed in a few days in your youth could linger for weeks. The outer layer of our skin, the epidermis, thins by about 20%. Even more dramatically, our collagen levels, which give skin its strength and elasticity, can plummet by as much as 75% from their peak. But it's not just a simple decline. Researchers describe it as the skin's repair cells, called fibroblasts, becoming forgetful. They lose their biological blueprint for how to properly mend tissue. So, when a wound occurs, these cells might show up, but they don't coordinate effectively. The inflammatory and rebuilding phases of healing are delayed. This is made worse by a drop in circulation, which means fewer nutrients and oxygen get to the wound site. The consequences are serious. Infection rates can triple. Even minor bumps can lead to chronic ulcers, which affect up to 15% of people over 80. The skin becomes almost like tissue paper, easily torn or bruised. This vulnerability isn't just a cosmetic issue. It's a major gateway for infections that can become life-threatening. Next, we have a condition that silently steals strength: sarcopenia. This is the accelerated loss of muscle mass and function. After the age of 80, it's not uncommon to lose 1 to 3% of your muscle mass every single year. This happens due to a combination of factors, including a drop in hormones like testosterone and estrogen, which help maintain muscle. But a fascinating and slightly alarming process also kicks in: anabolic resistance. This means the body becomes less efficient at using protein to build muscle. When energy levels dip, the body starts to break down its own muscle tissue to get the amino acids and glucose it needs to fuel vital organs. It's a form of self-cannibalization to survive. While this mechanism keeps the organs running, it devastates the musculoskeletal system. The loss of strength increases the risk of falls fivefold, and falls are a leading cause of disability and death in older adults. But muscles do more than just help us move. They are also a reservoir for immune factors. As muscle mass shrinks, so does this reservoir, which helps explain why the immune system can become weaker with age. Sarcopenia is a powerful driver of frailty, turning once strong individuals into people who struggle with simple daily activities. The fourth shift takes us inside the command center, the brain. The brain after 80 is a paradox of decline and adaptation. On one hand, there are clear signs of wear and tear. The protective myelin sheath that insulates our nerve fibers thins out, slowing down the speed of communication between brain cells. This can lead to what many describe as senior moments, temporary hiccups in memory or processing. Studies show that about 1/3 of people over 80 experience these brief, misrouted brain signals. But on the other hand, the brain is incredibly resilient. It actively rewires itself, a process called neuroplasticity. When one neural pathway becomes worn out, the brain builds detours. For instance, researchers have observed increased communication between the two hemispheres of the brain in older adults, as if they are working together more to compensate for slowdowns in specific areas. This adaptation is what builds wisdom and allows for continued learning and problem solving. It's crucial to distinguish these normal, fluctuating changes from the more severe cognitive decline associated with dementia. The aging brain isn't just failing, it's actively fighting to maintain its function through remarkable feats of reorganization. Finally, let's look at the fifth major change, the inversion of our sleep-wake cycle. Many people over 80 find themselves feeling sleepy early in the evening but then waking up in the middle of the night, unable to fall back asleep. This is known as advanced sleep phase syndrome, and it affects nearly 60% of this age group. The culprit is the suprachiasmatic nucleus, our brain's master clock. This tiny cluster of cells becomes less sensitive to light cues and weaker in its signaling. The result is a body clock that has shifted forward. This isn't just an inconvenience, it fragments sleep, drastically reducing the amount of deep sleep we get. And deep sleep is critical. It's during these stages that the brain's glymphatic system, its cleanup crew, gets to work, flushing out toxic proteins like amyloid beta. When this cleaning process is disrupted night after night, these toxins can build up, and research has linked this to a tripled risk of developing dementia. The entire sleep architecture changes, leading to a cycle of daytime fatigue and nighttime wakefulness that can profoundly impact cognitive function and overall well-being. So there you have it, the 5 profound shifts. What's truly fascinating is how they're all connected. A diminished sense of taste can lead to malnutrition, which weakens the body and makes it harder for the skin to heal. Sarcopenia leads to immobility, which can compound the risk of skin ulcers, and fragmented sleep worsens cognitive fluctuations and overall frailty. It sounds like a downward spiral, but here's the most important part. None of this is a foregone conclusion. While these changes are a natural part of deep aging, their consequences can be managed and mitigated. We can fight back. For taste, using spices, herbs, and staying well hydrated can amplify flavor. For skin health, moisturizing regularly and ensuring a protein-rich diet can support repair. For sarcopenia, resistance training is incredibly effective at any age for rebuilding muscle. For the brain, staying mentally and socially active helps build those new neural pathways. And for sleep, simple things like getting bright light exposure in the morning and creating a consistent sleep routine can help reset that internal clock. The story of aging after 80 isn't just one of decline. It's a story of adaptation, resilience, and the remarkable power of targeted habits to shape our health. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more insights into health and human biology. See you in the next one.